Hello there, everyone. What's going on? I'm Josh. I'm going to be responding to this shit. White supremacy and the dearth of ideas, which I just find fucking hilarious considering how a lot of right wing TV is like the same five fucking things. Anyway, like Tim Allen and his fucking Last Man Standing is like the same five fucking jokes. Anyway, the author of this is Chris Boland. And I'll leave a link to it if you want to go read this shit with your own eyeballs. But let's get to it. My wife was watching a TV program that caught my attention because she wasn't watching what I wanted her to watch as I was walking through the room. It was an episode of Madam Secretary, in which one of the protagonists is embedded in a white supremacist organization to disrupt a pending attack. I commented that the series was winding down and would likely be cancelled soon, which because like they're talking about white supremacy being a fucking danger in America? How fucking dare they? She asked me what I meant by that, and I explained my theory of Hollywood and white supremacy. Namely, that when the writers ran out of all possible woke storylines, okay, they resort to a white supremacy thread to stave off cancellation. And why might people maybe want to see white supremacists get their fucking comeuppance? Admittedly, I do not have statistics to support this, but considering your own entertainment choices, the number of times you have seen homophobia, Islamophobia, transphobia, and any other contemporary cardinal sin woven into the storylines of your programming choices. I watch a lot of anime and a lot of YouTube videos. I don't watch TV that much. I don't watch a lot of Netflix stuff. When I do, it's usually like Japanese television shows that are on there. Like Ju-On Origins, which I need to go back to. Anyway. Now consider how many times the storyline involved good, decent people who are religiously observant. I mean, who do you consider, religiously observant? Because like, do you mean Muslims observing? Because do you mean just like waspy people? Also, because that shit's boring. They then think back and consider how many times the story wends its way to a conflict with white nationalists or Christian fundamentalists. Because they're a danger. Whoa. That non-white people have to deal with on a day-to-fucking-day basis. Recently, I was binging on an Amazon production called Bosch, which it drew me in with its above-average writing and its setting in Hollywood, where I lived for many years as a struggling, has-been, or never was. It was somehow comforting to see the neighborhoods where I lived and worked depicted with a small degree of fidelity. In the penultimate season, however, the imagination well ran dry, and the storyline veered to the predictable. It featured a group of posse comitatus separatists who are squatting in homes they do not own while they stockpile weapons for the coming apocalypse. But, it's not fucking, it's never happened. There may indeed be white supremacists, white nationalists, Christian identitarians, and other unsavory groups the progressive minds associate with the political right, but in my 2 decades of living in Hollywood, were they recent? I never met any. I met Russian gangsters. So you were doing illegal things with Russian gangsters. Armenian gangsters. What's it with you and gang members? Hookers and pimps of all stripes. We know what you were doing there. MS-13 gangsters. MS-13, by the way, literally started in Los Angeles. So. White fence. What the fuck is white fence? independent criminals, and various other miscreants, but never the central casting racists depicted in television or the movies. Because very few racists are actually open about being racist. They talk in dog whistles and, care about birth rates and fucking an invasion from the South, you know, drug dealers and rapists, some might say. Working on a tuna boat, or in an oil field, or on a construction site, I have never met the feared neo-Nazi, which I don't believe you, but even if you did, it's because they, again, generally are fucking cowards. You probably saw things that are neo-Nazi, but you didn't realize it, or you did and you just ignored it. Even working for 8 years in the steel town of Fontana, California, the birthplace of the Hells Angels, which the Hells Angels aren't racist, I don't think. They're a biker gang, but I never met a white supremacist, which there are obviously white nationalist bikers. Anyway, I've met many racists over the years, some black, some brown, some white, but I've never met any racist I would elevate to the level of supremacist. Because you don't believe they're supremacists because you agree with the shit coming out of their fucking mouths. Probably. And yet we are told that they are everywhere, even in our own families, and of course in our government and our communities. The best part is the people who are saying that are like the FBI, who are historically fucking racist, and even they're going, we've been in, racists everywhere. Strangely, they are simultaneously ubiquitous and undetectable. So we need the media, big tech, and the federal government to expose and crush them. But who are they? Traditionalists, swastika tattoos, maybe. Most likely having some fucking rune tattoos. Talking about the 14 words or having 88 in their name. Fucking, maybe the Black Sun, the Sudden Red, I think is what it's fucking called. The fucking circle thing with like the, you know, maybe have a Confederate flag, which in Germany, where it's illegal to have a Nazi flag, they use a Confederate flag, which should ring some alarm bells in your head, but they don't. Because you think it's about states' rights, but never ask what state rights. As of 2017, it turns out they are us. Yeah, there's a lot of overlap between conservatives and, white nationalists, because there's a lot of the same arguments that happen. Even in our, thanks to changed definitions, we are all part of the white supremacist power structure. According to the Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of African American History and Culture, if you subscribe to traits such as individualism, empiricism, objective linear thinking, and punctuality, you are part of the white supremacy power structure. Insofar as, if you believe in individualism, and so, it's like, oh, the guy who shot up a black church, he was killing Christians, not black Christians. He was an individual, like lone wolf terrorism, shit like that. Empiricism, like the race IQ thing, probably. Objective linear thinking. Your objective linear thinking might have a few, bends in it at sharp right angles. Maybe two that do that. Other people insist that using grammatically correct language is a racist trait. I mean, if you're correcting, if you're correcting people using a different vernacular than you, yeah, you're being a dick and racist because you're like, I don't understand the things that are coming out of your mouth. as is the worship of the written word. Wait, oh, reason. A fucking reason that because acronyms are a symptom of white supremacy. Okay, what? VAPA, the SFUSD Arts Department. But like visual and performing arts, like who fucking Jesus Christ. But let's go to this like racist trait thing. Uh, what she calls the social justice movement, which makes her a social justice warrior. Everyday feminism, which is pop feminism website, and is oppressive and racist. Why is it oppressive and racist? Because the dictionary was written by a white supremacist heteropatriarchal system. Yeah, yeah. It's like yeah, generally, because yeah, she's not wrong. Discriminating in favor of those individuals who communicate well through spoken language or the written word is also part of the white supremacist power structure. I suspect this is why we have descended from James Baldwin to Snoop Dogg, which Snoop Dogg actually has some pretty good lyrics. Also, it's really weird that you went with Snoop Dogg and not any of the recent rappers, like Kendrick Lamar, and fucking Tech Nine, or fucking any other rappers that actually are able to have rhyming couplets and stuff like that. Also, it's D-O-double-G, Snoop Dogg. Also, Snoop Dogg is friends with fucking Martha Stewart, so. These are not the traits that white babies are born with, but that are withheld from black and brown babies. These are traits that are instilled through education and acculturation. Most of us do not believe that teaching our children to speak and write clearly, to be on time, and to think critically is a racist act, and that we are creating another racist generation. Mainly because you don't examine your own place in the power structure that you don't think exists. But what is the inevitable outcome of abandoning things like the Protestant work ethic, which fuck the Protestants, fuck Christians in general, or our reliance on empirical data, or our insistence on clear, concise communication? Just because you can't understand them and you don't like you can't be bothered to fucking like learn like what words mean. That's just on you being fucking lazy. Like why the fuck is like these black people, they fucking speak with such jive. Like that's what you fucking sound like. They're fucking, that jive they're talking. Fucking, you sound like some white person from some fucking blaxploitation movie. Um, from an objective perspective, it means cultural and societal suicide, which incidentally a lot of white supremacists talk about. If everyone is equally ignorant and slothful, nothing good can happen. I do not suggest that the proponents of anti-racism, such as Ibram Kendi and others, are ignorant or slothful. On the contrary, I believe they work extremely hard and know enough to be very harmful. Which isn't racist to think that people who are able to explicate the terms of their oppression, they're harmful by explaining to people who might not know, what's going on. The entertainment industry and news media tell us that there are white supremacist compounds scattered around the country with sleeper cells ready to activate in all our cities, while our institutions of government and education insist that a great percentage of the population is irredeemably racist. Because they don't want to talk about the long storied history of racism at the beginning of this country and the continued racism up until right now. Also, there are white supremacist compounds scattered across the country. I literally live within walking distance of one. It's called the police station, especially where I live. because I fucking hate these cops. In specific, because they're shitty people. Anyway, consider what former CIA Director John Brennan has urged the Biden administration to focus on in its declared war, what they describe as domestic terrorists. Which is funny because I don't think the CIA can actually operate domestically. But I guess he's not actually part of the CIA right now. But religious extremists who exist, authoritarians like the people who stormed the Capitol and terrorized, people at the Capitol, fascists like the Proud Boys, Patriot Prayer, and other traditionalists, bigots, speaks for itself, racists, subset of bigots, nativists, mainly because a lot of nativists are very much, they believe in, like what was a nativist organization? The National Socialist Movement and the fucking American Nazi Party and the Klan, which is still active, just not as active as it could be. Even libertarians, because there's a lot of in the interest of full disclosure, I admit to being both a registered libertarian and an observant Catholic. I wonder how observant you actually are. I am embarrassed to admit the former and feel no shame in the latter. But in a world of fluid definitions based on political expediency, we can all expect to be on the enemies of the state list. Which, I mean, don't you think, fascist, bigots, sexist, misogynists, shouldn't they be enemies of the state? Because, bigotry is not good. So also, Joe Biden, as far as I know, hasn't said anything about Christians or conservatives being enemies of the people. But you know who did say that? The former president and rapist, Donald Trump, which led to a person sending fucking bombs to prominent Democrats and to CNN. But, fine, let's not talk about that. If insisting on grammatical English is a racist trait, you, dear reader, qualify for the list. Although, thankfully, I'm not actually. I generally do that if people are like, especially with like autocorrect. If you're typing on like, I just go like, how the fuck this happened with like autocorrect and stuff. I'm not like, I'm not telling people how to fucking talk. It's like if people have like the best part is you guys fucking hate people with fucking accents. You want everybody to speak fucking English. And when people try to learn English, you're like, oh, it's fucking heavily accented and blah, 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 blah. The reality we all know is that there are no racist insurgents plotting to overthrow the government. The January 6th insurrection notwithstanding, I guess. The Democratic leadership and the elite class are much like the Hollywood writers, out of ideas and bereft of imagination and creativity, hence the fabrication of a fictional threat. Like the former president, literally calling, CNN and all, hostile media enemies of the state, which again led to people sending fucking bombs. Specifically, one person sending a bunch of bombs to people. This fabrication, however, is not like the Russian hoax, which is not actually a hoax. It is much more dangerous and can only further divide and eventually radicalize both sides of the political and cultural divide. This cannot end well. And the best part is apparently there was a picture, but I have like add-ons on Chrome that just like I guess don't show me the picture, but a picture of the fucking Grand Wizard of the Clan in 1926, which we're almost 100 years removed from that. We're 5 short years removed from the 100 years, You know, the 100-year fucking thing of that. Um, and for any, traditionalists who might find this video, just think about the word globalist and then just change globalist to Jew, and you'll see that globalist is very much a dog whistle. Also, it's just really funny that people are bereft of imagination, but you guys want to go back to like the 50s when TV was shit. Like the 50s and 60s, TV was shit except for like a few shows. The Twilight Zone, one of them. Like you're so bereft of ideas that your idea is to go back to the past when things fucking sucked for non-white people, and yet you're not racist. Fun how that works out. Anyway, peace out. Have a wonderful, wonderful fucking day.